is because they think, oh, I'm not good at reading. I'm a bad reader. I have this learning disability. I have, ADHD. I can't sit still. I can't focus. I can't do it. I'll fall asleep. I have this. I'll do that. I'll do whatever. I'm not good at it. I've never been good at it. I'll never be good at it. What is going on? Welcome to the Risen Fallen podcast. I am your host, Mark Hendrickson, and if you are brand new to this show, what you can expect is open and authentic conversations about things like mental health, self-development, and how to get your life moving in the right direction if you're not feeling good about where you are right now, at least having the confidence knowing that every single day you're moving at least one step closer to the life you'd like to have, the person you'd like to be, and the things you'd like to do. And if you're not new to this show, if you're a returning listener or returning viewer, whether you're watching this on YouTube or listening on the audio version on podcast platforms, then thank you very much for coming back, supporting the journey, supporting the show, and supporting the movement. And I appreciate you, whether you're brand new to this show or you're returning long-time viewer, listener, whatever it could be. No matter who you are, if you're listening to this right now, you are the reason that I do what I do. I just try and share a lot of my experiences and the lessons I've learned. And sometimes I share personal stories, just trying to, let you know that no matter what it is you're going through, you are not alone, and life can and will get better for you. And so that's a promise that I make to you. And I do my very best to display that by sharing my own personal stories. And occasionally I interview people as well. Share their stories. Let them share their stories and give them a platform to, have the therapeutic conversation with yours truly. And, it gives you guys a platform to listen to, different people's experiences, overcoming different adversities or achieving things that they never thought that they would be able to achieve. And hopefully that allows you to, maybe see something in yourself that you've never seen before. And sometimes we have very prolific episodes, very, life-changing episodes. And today I think is going to be one of them, because I'm talking about a very important question that I get all the time. Not specifically this question, though I have been asked this question, but in regards to these topics, obviously, if you've been listening to me for a while, if you listen to the podcast, if you follow me on social media, you see the type of stuff that I post every single day. I've done different challenges for myself to incorporate this type of thing in my life, and it's not something that I was naturally gifted at. It's not something that I naturally gravitate towards. It's not something I was naturally interested in or anything like that. And it's one of the disciplines, it's one of the skills that I've had to develop that I'd say is one of the biggest catalysts in regards to my journey and my mental health and self-development. And it's pretty close to my heart because I bounced from doctor to doctor, counselor to counselor, medicine to medicine, different therapies, etc., for years, struggling with my depression and a lot with my anxiety as well. And the last doctor that I ever had to talk to, which was a few years back now, I think it must have been like 2016 was the last time I had to talk to a doctor. 2017, where I felt like I needed to. So that's like a good 6-7 years ago. And this doctor, he was super influential in my life. He basically was the first doctor to not treat me like a number and not treat me like somebody that I just, I was sick and tired of going into doctor's offices and just being, given prescriptions and told, anyways, I don't want to dive too deep into this, into my different bad experiences with doctors, but I will share, for the sake of your time and my time, I will share one good experience, which was the last doctor that I ever had to talk to. And the first time I went in and talked to him, I was pretty blunt with him. I was like, look, man, I'm not looking to be put on any medication. I'm not looking to be, I want to improve my mind state, and I want to improve how I feel on a daily basis. And there's certain things that I want to change in my life. And, he basically started off the session just asking me a bunch of questions, kind of like the Socratic method type thing, but really just trying to understand who I was, not trying to get down to the bottom of anything, just understand where I was at in life. Asking me about my nutrition, my sleep, my work, my relationships, my friendships, my family, my, everything, my exercise, everything basically he wanted to know about my life. And we sat there and we just chatted, and he just asked me questions. And at the very end of it, he's like, how often do you read? Like, what kinds of books do you read? And I was like, dude, I don't think I've ever completed a book. And he's like, look, I'm going to give you 2 books to go and read, and I want you to go and read them and then book an appointment with me after, and we can chat about things, different topics from the books. And he gave me Man's Search for Meaning and The Upward Spiral. And those were 2 books that he recommended to me, and I was very foreign to reading. I grew up, I was told I was ADHD from a young age, and so basically that became a part of my identity. I thought I'm not the type of person with an attention span. I'm not the type of person that can sit down still and focus on one thing at a time. I'm easily distracted. I can't do things that I'm not interested in. The whole spiel that you get told when you get diagnosed with ADHD, and then that kind of enables poor behavior for the rest of your life. And you feel like a victim because of it. But what I didn't know was a lot of these things are actually skills. They're not things that you're just naturally born with. Like the ability to sit still and be focused and not have anxiety and not feel the constant need to move around. That's a skill that you have to develop, and you have to understand yourself and your body, your own personality. And, it's something you got to work on. There's tips and tricks that I use, but that's not what this episode is going to be about. But here's a little bonus tip. One of the things that I use when I know that I'm going to have to sit down for a long period of time, like if I'm going to record a podcast or if I have to sit down and read, is I do it after I exercise so that my body is a little bit more tired and my gives my brain a little bit of exercise as well. So that's one of the things that I do personally. But what I wanted to talk about today is actually, like I get questions all the time. Do you get audiobooks? Do you listen to audiobooks? Do you read hard copies? Do you read ebooks on an iPad or a Kindle, or like how do you consume information? Do you just use YouTube? Whatever, right? And I wanted to talk about basically audiobooks and hard copy books today specifically, compare the two, my views on these things, why they're beneficial for you, and why one of them, I prefer more than the other at certain times. And I'm going to give you my opinions on these things. And so I have, a couple different things that I really like about audiobooks. And so I'll talk about audiobooks first, and then I'll talk about hard copy books after, and I'll kind of tell you my opinion on these things. One of the very, obvious and very first things you will realize about listening to audiobooks, if you're somebody that's like me and likes to optimize your time as much as you possibly can, and likes to just feel like you're getting the most out of your day, your time. And especially this is relevant to you if you work a laborious job, if you do something where you don't really have to communicate with people, you just have to do a thing, whether you like build things or you work on things, or you fix things, or you code things, or I don't know what you do. Maybe click on things. A lot of people work from home. I don't know what you do if you work from home, if you just click on things. But shout outs to you if you work at home and do more than click on things. I'm sure, obviously, you got to do more than click on things, but I don't know what you do if you work from home. I don't know. Maybe you guys could let me know. But anyways, if you feel like you want to get the most juice out of the squeeze, out of your time, then I feel like audiobooks are a huge advantage because, like, personally, I work in construction. I'm a carpenter. And if I'm working by myself or I'm doing something where, like I'm jackhammering or I'm doing something where you can't really talk to people while you do it at the same time, I always have, an audiobook in my ear, listening to my headphones underneath my ear protection. And I find that, whether I'm driving, whether I'm working out, whether I'm working, whether I'm doing anything like that, I'll always have audiobooks in my ear if I'm genuinely interested in a topic I want to learn about, I want to hear about it, that kind of thing. For certain times, it's kind of a lot more appropriate. There's no way that I could read books or do anything like that while I was at work or while I was driving or anything. So I feel like sometimes if I get sucked into a topic and I'm interested in hearing about it, or even if it's just like, I just want to, I got like a 15-minute drive and I'm like, I could learn something in this time. I feel like audiobooks are a huge, huge blessing in that sense because, I feel like it's a lot easier to use your time that way. Also, in regards to digestibility, sometimes there's different topics that are just like super heady, super informative, super thought-provoking. And, honestly, there's certain books that are just like super daunting and long, like 1,000-page books that I'm interested in, or I'm like, hey, I want to learn more about that, but I couldn't bring myself to just sit and read all of those pages in a book. It's just not something that I would dedicate that much time to when I know that I could just, absorb that in an 8-hour shift at work, as opposed to like spending hours and hours and hours reading this one book when I could read hard copy books, in certain times of my day, and then just slam through those audiobooks if I have a lot of driving to do, or if I have a lot of, time on my hands where I'm painting or I'm doing something where it's just monotonous work that I can just zone out and listen to something as I do it. And obviously it's way more portable to listen to podcasts. It's way more accessible. It's so much, if you're in a place where, you can't focus or you feel like you're getting distracted all the time because it's loud, you pop some headphones in, you can just close out the world and live in that audiobook. You could be, it's kind of more immersive. And, just having someone explain something to you as opposed to you reading it and trying to figure it out, sometimes it's just easier to follow. I don't know. I feel like that. And so that's kind of the main pros, the main big things that I really like about audiobooks. However, obviously there's certain things that I don't like about audiobooks. One of them is, again, I if I'm listening to audiobooks or I'm listening to something like that instead of reading it, it's usually because it's kind of like a heady topic or something that I have to think about or something that I'm, curious about or don't really fully understand. And I think that it's going to be easier for me to listen than it is to read about this topic. Sometimes it's difficult. A lot of the time when I'm listening to something or reading something, I want to go back and look at the last sentence or the last couple paragraphs or compare it to something like a couple pages before. And obviously, you could just rewind the audiobook by like 15 seconds or 30 seconds, whatever option it gives you. I can't remember. But, if I'm listening to an audiobook, then I'm usually doing something else as well, which means I have to stop doing what I'm doing, go back and rewind, and then go back to doing what I'm doing and hopefully catch it on that time. Or usually sometimes you got to rewind like 2 or 3 more times. And it's just like, if this was a hard copy book, I could easily flip back to this page. I could leave a post-it note. I could write my own notes. I could highlight things. I could underscore things, etc. And so with audiobooks, I find that to be a little bit difficult sometimes. But the other thing is, I guess the caveat to that is, with audiobooks, I've got audiobooks that I've listened to multiple times just because I obsessed over that topic, and I wanted to understand it the best of my ability. Again, the other thing is as well with the whole idea of multitasking is if you're listening to something while you're doing something. I've heard a lot of people tell me that they were listening to a book that I recommended, or they were listening to something and they just kept zoning out, doing whatever they were doing, and then having to rewind and do exactly what I was just talking about. And just the idea of multitasking while you're listening to it, it kind of the retention of information that you have when you're doing something else as you're listening to it, as opposed to when you read something on a page. Obviously, your retention for that is going to be a lot higher, especially if you take notes on it, or write down your own little notes, or highlight something, or come back to it and revisit it because you left a bookmark, or just I feel like the retention on a hard copy book that you physically read is a lot better. And the last con for audiobooks is that it's kind of dependent on technology. And so if your phone dies, if you don't have Wi-Fi, if you don't have data, if your headphones are dead, you can't find your headphones, for any reason, maybe they shut the electrical grid off and you can't charge your phone, you can't access any technology, it's just a power outage, and you got a candle or whatever it is, a hard copy book you'll always have with you. You'll always be able to pull it out. You'll always be able to, I have that book. And the shareability of physical books as well. To my knowledge, it's not possible for me to just give you an audiobook that I have so that you could listen to it. Whereas, with physical books, one of my favorite things about having physical books is being able to trade books with my buddies and say, oh, have you read this book? You'd really love it, or this would really help you out with whatever you're going through in your life. Being able to, when I find a book that actually does engage me and help me with a life lesson or an adversity that I'm going through, then, those things really, I'm thankful for them and I'm grateful for them. And I'm the type of person that, I'm a marketer's kind of best friend, because when I find something that I love, I'm going to tell everybody that I love about it. I'm going to have conversations with people whose homes I renovate. I'm going to have conversations with my loved ones. I'm going to have conversations with people at the gym. I'm going to have if I like something, I'm going to tell everyone about it, dude. I might as well be a vegan CrossFitter, because I'm going to tell you about shit that I like and about things that I do, which is, again, probably why I have a podcast as well. I guess pros and cons to reading hard copy books, I've already gone over in relation to the pros and cons to audiobooks as well. But aside from the shareability of books that I really like, and the idea that you retain information better when you physically read something as well, I'd say the only big con to reading books, like hard copy books, is just how much time it consumes. But that being said, that's barely a con, because that means it's going to help teach you time management. If you make it a regular habit of hey, I got to read for half an hour every day, you're going to get better at time management if you make that a goal. Or read 10 pages of a book or whatever it is every single day. Set yourself a little minimum and check it out. It can be very time consuming, but again, that'll make you better at time management. And the other benefits, I'd say, that I feel like a lot of people use for reasons why they don't read very often, is because they think, I'm not good at reading. I'm a bad reader. I have this learning disability. I have, ADHD, I can't sit still, I can't focus, I can't do it, I'll fall asleep, I have this, I'll do that, I'll do whatever. I'm not good at it, I've never been good at it, I'll never be good at it. And that's just a big old pile of baloney, man. I just don't really buy into it. I don't like that. And the reason why is because, like I said, these types of things, all of those things I just listed, reading ability, the ability to sit still, the ability to focus on something, the ability to work on something that you've never been good at, and face the facts that you're not going to be good at everything, but you can work to get better at it, and you don't have to be perfect at it. All of these things are skills. Being able to overcome adversity, things that you suck at, and try and get better at them. That's a skill. Sitting still, that's a skill. Sitting still without having anxiety, that's a skill. Focusing on one thing at a time, that's a skill. And if you were to have a habit or a behavior that could build all of those skills, as well as give you all the information that you gain from doing this behavior or habit, would you not think that that's literally one of the most important things that you can possibly do in your life? You can learn from the most successful people you've ever heard of by reading their books, and learn from their lessons, and learn from their mistakes, and learn from their successes, as well as develop all of these skills for yourself, like to be able to do all of those things we've just discussed. For that reason, reading hard copy books is a daily habit of mine. It is a daily practice of mine. And in my personal opinion, it is more important. It is more beneficial than listening to audiobooks. I mean, if you're going to ask the question of, is it worth it to listen to audiobooks? If that's the only way you're going to ingest information and you're not dead set, you're never going to read, then yeah, listening to audiobooks is definitely better than not listening to audiobooks. But having the combination of the habits, conveniency of being able to listen to something and not have to read a thick textbook, and also all the skills and development that you'll get from reading hard copy books, combine them and have them both as regular practices. I even have certain books that, I read the hard copy and I have the audiobook version as well. Like this book right here, Never Finished, David Goggins. That's what I'm reading right now. I have the audio version and I have the physical version. I listen to the audio version as I read it. And then in the audio version itself, there's little added clips. So shout out to that book. But yeah, just a bunch of different little things that maybe are pros and cons to reading and audiobooks, what I prefer. And that's just my opinions. I hope this kind of helps you guys out with put something into perspective, especially in regards to the whole skills and / disabilities topic. I really hope this kind of helps you, inspires you, or motivates you to kind of look at some of the things you claim to have as part of your identity. And, you have these self-limiting beliefs about yourself, about, you've never been good at something, but, so that you might not never improve at it. That's what I'm trying to say, is I hope that inspires you to change that self-limiting belief, and that if there's something that you're not naturally good at, that you can improve, you can get better. Life can and will get better for you. And there's different little things that you can use, skills and disciplines and behaviors that you can use to expedite the process of making your life more enjoyable, and help you overcome some of the things that you're going through. Or at the very least, just you could read about or hear about through audiobooks about experiences that other people have had that put yours into different perspectives, whether it's the same experience or a different experience, a worse experience, a better experience, whatever it could be. There's endless amounts of benefits to audiobooks and physical hard copy books. So that's my little rant for you guys today. Happy Monday. Hope your week is going off well. Share this with somebody if you want, or don't if you don't. Really helps me out if you do, but if you don't want to, then don't do it. And that's pretty much it. I will check in with you guys on Thursday. I love you all. I'm thankful for all of you. Much love and peace out, you beautiful human beings. Happy reading. Oh, and let me know what kind of books you guys read. What kind of books are your favorite books? What book is your favorite book? If you had to recommend one book to somebody that was in a rough spot right now and, you wanted to help them out, what book would you recommend? What's the best book you could recommend for that cause? Let me know in the comments below on YouTube, Rumble, and let me know in a review or just DM me on Instagram. Other than that, that's it. I'm going to wrap this up. Much love. Peace out. Love you all. Bye.